I took a DNA test just for fun, but what I found out changed everything. It all started as a joke. My family had been talking about doing one of those DNA ancestry tests to see where we all came from. So, for my birthday, my mom bought me a kit. I thought it would be fun. Maybe discover some distant cousins or quirky heritage. I never expected what happened next. I got the results back a few weeks later. There it was, my ethnicity breakdown. Mostly what I expected. European, some Asian ancestry. But then I scrolled down to the relatives section, and that's when things got weird. At the top of the list was a name I didn't recognize, labeled as a close relative, someone I shared a significant amount of DNA with. But it wasn't anyone from my immediate family. Curious, I clicked on the profile. The name said Sarah. She was listed as my sister. Sister? I stared at the screen, confused. I don't have a sister. I have one brother, and that's it. My parents never mentioned anything about another child. I figured it must be a mistake. Maybe someone else's data got mixed in with mine, but the DNA match was too close for that. I decided to reach out to her through the platform's messaging system. I wasn't even sure what to say. Hi, apparently we're related. Can we talk? It felt ridiculous, but I had to know. A few days passed and she finally replied. Her message was short. I've been waiting for you to reach out. My heart dropped. What did that mean? We exchanged messages for a while and I learned that Sarah had been adopted as a baby. Her adoptive parents never hid the fact that she was adopted, but they didn't know much about her biological family. She had always wondered about where she came from, so she took the DNA test hoping to find some answers. And that's when she found me. I was still in disbelief. How could this be possible? My parents had never once mentioned anything about giving up a child for adoption. I decided it was time to ask my mom. I waited until we were alone and nervously brought it up. Mom, I did this DNA test and it says I have a sister. The look on her face told me everything. She went pale and sat down, tears welling up in her eyes. She took a deep breath and finally confessed. Before I met your father, when I was very young, I had a baby and I gave her up for adoption. I didn't know where she went or if I'd ever see her again. My whole world felt like it was spinning. I had a sister all this time and no one had told me. Mom explained that she had been too scared and ashamed to talk about it, and it was a part of her life she had buried for years. The next few days were a blur. I didn't know how to feel, angry, sad, or excited. I had a sister I never knew existed. After the shock wore off, I reached out to Sarah again. We decided to meet in person. I was so nervous driving to the cafe where we agreed to meet. What would she be like? Would she look like me? When I walked in, I spotted her right away. She looked just like me. It was eerie. We hugged and I felt this overwhelming sense of connection, like we were catching up on a lifetime of missed moments. We spent hours talking, learning about each other's lives, and filling in the gaps. Meeting Sarah was the most surreal experience of my life. It was like looking into a mirror and seeing a version of myself I never knew existed. But it wasn't just about finding out I had a sister. It was about discovering the parts of my family's past that had been hidden and realizing how much our identities are shaped by the stories we don't know.